Hello, I'm Ed Rabyd, otherwise known as the Rabyd Atheist, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike the videos you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, and I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You're also free to share my videos as much as you like, as the purpose of this channel is educational with regard to atheism and deconversion issues, and politics, philosophy, Bible, theology, and relationship to those issues. Today I want to do another deconversion issue. For those of you that follow the channel regularly know that there was no Monday video. I'm really seriously considering going to just 2 videos a week for a while because I have some other things I got to work on. I do apologize for that. For some of you get more regular content, but that's kind of the way it is. Life is life. But I want to talk today about how leaving religion pulls you away from symbolism to substance. Now, the idea of symbolism to substance for me has been around for a long time, even when I was a Christian, because I used to talk a lot about how symbols only have the meaning that you give them. And when you're a religious person, I noticed that religions tend to work very, very hard to make sure the symbolism is good. In Christianity, you have the cross, and you have the communion, and you have empty tombs, and you have all kinds of other symbolic things. What would Jesus do? Things that try to focus yourself on objects, on things that supposedly represent certain things. Now, the difference to me with symbols is I think symbols distract us from whether or not we actually see the substance of what's in real life. For instance, you can look at the symbol of the cross and say that's a symbol of love and that's a symbol of grace and so on and so forth. But when you begin to look at what actually was done on the cross of Jesus, supposedly, there's not a lot of love or grace to it. There's a substance, there's a reality. In politics, you'll hear both sides in America talk about freedoms and liberty and whatever, and they'll tout up symbolic things about freedom. Both sides have their sacred cow symbols that you can't assault. If you do assault them, oh, you're attacking the substance of something. Well, am I really? Okay, substance is, the symbolism is what the politicians will talk about. They like to have this emotional attachment to symbols. And then, the substance of what the country is supposed to be out, supposedly life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, whether or not we're allowed to have life and liberty and pursue happiness the way we see fit as American citizens in this country is a debatable point. And I think that's the real issue here, because when we talk about symbolism and substance, that's what I'm talking about. People will get all gaga about their national flag, and they'll talk about their national anthem, and they'll talk about all this other stuff. What is your country really doing as far as the ethics it says it's standing for? It's easy to get behind the symbols of something and create an emotional attachment to those symbols than actually do something of substance. And religion is really good at this. Okay, it taps into our desire for symbolism, to have something concrete to look at or to hold or to feel about, rather than what's actually going on in the character of the actions of the people involved. We're concentrating on the symbols. And you see this in churches a lot because, the symbolism replaces the substance of what's supposed to be there, quote unquote. I saw this a lot, we have the cross and, we kneel for the cross, stand for the flag, that kind of stuff. You have the attachment to the Eucharist, that's very, very emotional and very, very deep. Never mind that your priests are raping kids. Never mind that several extramarital affairs are going on in the church at any given time. Never mind that the, altar time in a Pentecostal church is a large amount of fraud. That's just emotional and manipulation, things like that. The substance of what's really going on and what's really affecting people's lives has nothing to do with the symbolism, because the symbolism takes the place of what's really going on. And the reason this is a deconversion issue is, as somebody who has been trained by religion and has their mind going along these religious trappings over and over and over again, what you end up doing even once you deconvert is trying to find symbols to attach your life to. And I knew this coming out early. I still wanted a code of how to live my life, but I didn't want it to become such a rigid symbol that I was so devoted to the code that I forgot that there's certain substance to my life that I want, and that these things are supposed to be tools as a means to an end rather than the end themselves. And that's the point of deconversion. Because once you come out of Christianity, the cross doesn't mean that much to you anymore. It's, quite frankly, almost necessarily meaningless to an atheist. It just is. I look at the cross now and I'm like, well, that's a nice symbol of a nice idea that somebody thought they had. But really, when you look at the cross of Jesus Christ, it's kind of an evil piece of shit thing to do to somebody to, quote, redeem them, when you could just wave your hand and say, you know what, you're all forgiven. Why do we have to go through the pantomime of human suffering to do that? Becomes a question. The cross is symbolic of that. The empty tomb to me is a fantasy. The Eucharist, the body and blood of Jesus Christ, depending on your view of communion and whether you believe in transubstantiation or not, really becomes, well, you're just drinking grape juice and eating bread and you're saying it's something else. And actually, it's kind of a really weird cannibalistic ritual thing if you really think about it, and somehow it's justified. And that's where you really get past the garbage of the symbolism and realize, the curtain comes back. And we still do this to us ourselves in atheist circles because we still gravitate to symbols. We gravitate to catchphrases. When I was in the church, God is good, all the time, was the immediate response. You have those conditioned responses. And we sometimes, I think, get into that as human beings. It's a very natural human being to try to find something concrete, something with a pattern, something with strong emotional attachment that we can gravitate to, rather than to look at the nuance of the substance of our actual life that's still in process. It allows us to say we've reached this certain marker, and this symbol represents the marker. And I see people do that all the time. And I don't know if there's something inherently psychological about it, which I think there is. But one of the issues for me for a deconversion is dealing with the symbols of religion that I used to deal with all the time as a pastor. I did a candlelight service every year at Christmas, communion once a month. Easter time, of course, I have to talk about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And I went so far a couple of years as to doing drama, where I played several different characters that would have witnessed Jesus according to the story. Now, it was actually playing these characters and doing research for some of them that I realized that there were some problems with that. For instance, portraying Pilate as somehow trying to appease the Jews is really interesting because, according to the rest of the histories about Pontius Pilate, he really didn't give a shit what the Jews thought. And he would often do stuff to piss them off. So the Bible's portrayal of Pontius Pilate is very different than history's portrayal of Pontius Pilate. So it became an issue to me. But we have this symbolic understanding of washing hands, and that's why I bring it up. I wash my hands of this man's blood. The problem with that is I don't think Pilate would have given a shit, given the rest of the accounts about him from Josephus and a few others. He was kind of an asshole, okay? And he would not have given a shit what the Jews thought. I mean, he tried to appease them every once in a while, but most of the time he was just like, yeah, what can I do to piss them off today? He was kind of an arrogant ass. And I don't think he would have cared that an innocent Jew went to the gallows. I don't think he would have given one damn shit about it. But I would portray the symbol, and the real substance was different. This is what happens in this kind of mentality as you begin to realize that you change your viewpoint of how you look at people, how you look at historical events, how you rethink and reimagine the symbols. I've had to really look, for instance, a lot of my patriotism in this country was connected, God and country. What happens when you take the God part out? Well, the country becomes a human institution that's flawed, and there is no God over it. So what do you do with that? Okay, suddenly you realize, country needs work. It's not perfect. It's not just automatically covered by the graciousness of God when it fucks up and does something stupid. Okay, when it commits an atrocity, it's up to the duty of the citizens who disagree with that atrocity to say something and say that's a fucking atrocity. Okay, my personal beef right now is, holy shit, how long are we going to be in fucking Afghanistan? Okay, how long before we figure that is just a quagmire that it's been for literally millennia, centuries, for every nation that's tried to get in, from the Brits to the Russians to us. Okay, every group of people that's tried to get involved in Afghanistan and fix its problems, the Afghan people are saying, maybe we don't want our problems fixed, or, maybe you should butt out and let us fix them ourselves. And I look at the symbolism of, we're going to stick in here and we're going to stick this to the conclusion, and we're not going to have this be a failure. We are not going to fail. And we never even bothered to ask the question, well, the substance is we're failing. Okay, we're not winning. We haven't secured the peace, and we may never do so. Are we prepared to stay here forever? And when you start asking those kind of questions, your questions get different. I think the whole foreign policy with Israel has become really questionable to me, because the symbolic thing is Israel is God's chosen people. And now, we're going to back them because we're backing God by backing God's chosen people. Never mind that you're killing Palestinians that are also human beings. Okay. Both sides are human. I'm not against the Jews defending themselves because they're in this situation. Some of them, this is their home now. They were born there. Now what do? Do they go somewhere else? It's like, so it's not as easy a situation, but symbolism makes it an easy solution, doesn't it? Because the Christian just goes out there and says, well, they're God's chosen people. And that symbolic idea overarches all the bullshit they do. Okay, now I'm not anti-Semitic. I think the Jews have been wrongly persecuted many, many times. I think the Holocaust was real and it was a tragedy. Okay. The issue that I have is that doesn't justify them doing shitty things as a nation to other groups of people and basically displacing them, saying, get the fuck out. Okay, that's not right either. Okay, so, but the symbolism of they're God's chosen people, so therefore they get to do whatever they want. No, they don't. Okay, and that's the problem with symbolism taking precedence over the substance of what really is going on. And it takes a lot of work. And this is maybe why we go to symbols, is it takes a lot more work to find out what the substance really is and how to deal with it, rather than just accepting the symbol. It's being skeptical gets you past the symbolism to some substance. You have to be skeptical. You have to be diligent. You have to be a kind of person that says, you know what, I'm going to search this out before I come to a conclusion or before I form an opinion. And we don't always do that. In fact, I think we do that more the other way. We look for a symbol. We look for something simple to make our life a little bit better and make it a little easier. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on this idea of symbolism versus substance. I'm very interested to hear it in the comments. I appreciate all the people that have commented the last couple of days. I do want to give a thank you to somebody. So I'm going to... a very recent subscriber, and I want to make sure I get the name right. So hold on for just a second. But, one of the people back when I did my reaction letter to the Jehovah's Witnesses, part 4, Anthony Guthrie. Yeah, thank you, sir, for your comment. He says, thanks for helping promote a more rational and empathic world. I don't know about that. There are days that I'm just trying to be happy myself. I'm trying to live a better life in the world that I live in. I realize now, getting past my religion, I can't change the world myself. That takes a lot more work than I'm willing to put in. And two, I'm not sure one person can do that. And I appreciate the comment. I appreciate the positivity of that comment. I debunked religion because I think religion is bad for us. I think it's something that we've come to accept. When people ask me how I feel by religion, I said it's like certain cultural practices in the past that hurt people, but people kept doing that because reasons. That's our culture. You know, somebody thought it was a good idea. I remember reading about, I think it's in Tibet, they used to have the tradition of wrapping baby girls' feet and making them really small and forcing them to stay small. And somebody came along and said, hey, that's really bad for the little girl's feet. You should really let them grow naturally. And there was a big fight about that. I feel somewhat about the same way about circumcision, both male and female. It's like you're hurting somebody because of culture, not because there's any medical advantage to it or some sort of reason for it. It's all religion. And to me, religion is, maybe in the past it helped us, but it's becoming more and more irrelevant, and more we realize rationally that the best way we're going to get to a more empathic world is to get rid of reasons to be tribalistic with each other. And religion still provides the largest reason, one of the largest reason, if not the largest reason, to keep our tribes going. And so I want to thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. And as my custom, I'm going to start answering at least one comment or a group of comments at the end of every video. And I wanted to hit that one because I usually get a lot of questions and difficulties and whatever. But this was a nice one to say thank you, and I appreciated it. And I just wanted to let you know, Anthony, I appreciated the comment more than you know. All right, well, that's it. I thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you all for listening to an old former preacher who's trying to find his way in this world now that he doesn't have any faith, and reasonably so. And hopefully someday I can convince you to be a rabid atheist like myself. In the meantime, this is Rabyd, also known as the Rabid Atheist, signing off and wishing you a good day.